Hey guys, this is Dr. Greg Rose. I want to talk a little bit about serve and serve biomechanics. I'm here at TPI's Motion Capture Lab where we do all of the motion capture testing of our tennis players for Racket Fit. And I've got two tennis athletes here on the screen, and I want to talk a lot about one of the characteristics we talk about is low elbow. And I want to talk about the elbow position. So let me show you how we diagnose this. So first and foremost, if I take the athlete on the left, they're both in the trophy pose position, right? So they've already made the ball toss. I'll back them up a little bit, take them over here. Now when he gets into that trophy pose position, what we see with the best tennis players in the world, the most efficient tennis players in the world, is if I took a line, I drew a line from the top of their lead shoulder to their trail shoulder, and I created that shoulder plane, the elbow is relatively on that line. And you can see on this athlete, that's a good example of where they're pretty lined up. They usually have a nice little side bend of the spine, The trail arm is up so that the elbow, shoulder, and shoulder create a straight line. That's what we normally see. Let me show you what we see a lot of tennis athletes that have a physical limitation that's potentially impacting their serve do. So the athlete here on the right, let me just back them up and let's get to this trophy. Now it's pretty obvious from any of these positions that if I took a line from the top shoulder to the trail shoulder and drew this plane, that the elbow is well low of that shoulder plane line. That's hence why we call this a low elbow. Now, we see this a lot as tennis coaches. It affects not only timing, sequencing, coordination, it can affect power. These players tend to be more upper body dominated players. It's like they can't get the energy from their body, so they just try and load their arm and use their arm. It's kind of like throwing it just like an arm serve. Now, what causes this low elbow? Well, one of the highest body tennis correlations that we see is spine mobility. Now, I should say thorax mobility. If you look at your rib cage, your thorax, for a great tennis player, you should be able to side bend, right? The side bending of the thorax and the rotating of the thorax helps coil and load some of the biggest muscles in your body. And that side bending helps them deliver this power from the ground up to the arm. If you can't side bend, then a lot of times players try and almost create that side bend by just using their arm. And you can kind of see with this player here, if I were to actually look at the numbers on here, you would see that their side bend is around 12 to 14 degrees, where the player on the left is close to 35 degrees, almost over double the amount of degrees of side bend, almost up to 3 times the side bend. That is such a classic sign of a physical correlation. One of the screens that we do in the Racket Fit certification seminars is called a side bend with arm raise test. We'll literally have them stand against the wall, measure how far they can side bend, and then be able to raise their arm up. That skill is so important for being able to load properly and create a coil, create timing, sequencing, power. So important. So this is something that you got to look at in your tennis players. If you see that, you might want to suspect there might be a body-serve correlation. This is Dr. Greg Rose talking about the serve. Hope to see you at one of our Racket Fit seminars in the future. For more information, just check out racketfit.com.